What if I told you that, before this video ends, you'll understand how one aircraft could bring back supersonic travel? Not in 50 years, not as a concept, but within the next decade. An aircraft so radically different that it has no front windows, a nose longer than a city bus, and a design that looks like it breaks every rule of aviation engineering. And yet, if it works, it could cut coast-to-coast flight times in half, change international aviation laws, and shape the future of how humanity moves across the planet. So stay with us, because near the end of this video, we'll explain why this jet might not just be quiet, but one of the most important aircraft ever built. Welcome back to Aviation Reviews, the channel where we break down the aircraft that defined the past, explain the machines shaping the present, and explore the technology building the future. Today, we're uncovering the story of NASA's X-59, the jet that could finally solve the sonic boom problem once and for all. Dawn breaks over the Mojave Desert. At Edwards Air Force Base, a long, empty runway stretches toward the horizon. The air is calm, the desert is silent. Then something unusual begins to taxi into view. At first glance, it looks almost unfinished. Its nose is impossibly long, over 11 meters, nearly 1/3 of the aircraft's entire length. Where you'd expect cockpit windows, there are none. This isn't a fighter jet. It's not a passenger plane. And it's not designed to break speed records in the way you might expect. This aircraft exists for one purpose: to do what no supersonic jet has ever done before. Fly faster than sound, without the boom. Known to understand why the X-59 matters, we need to go back. In 1947, humans first broke the sound barrier. It was a triumph of engineering and a shockwave heard for miles. That thunderous crack wasn't just loud. It shattered windows, terrified livestock, and made supersonic flight unacceptable over land. For decades, engineers tried to work around it. Then, in the 1970s, came the Concorde. Sleek, elegant, faster than any passenger jet before or since. It crossed the Atlantic in just 3.5 hours, nearly twice as fast as modern airliners. Inside the cabin, passengers sipped champagne while watching a screen display Mach 2. Outside, people beneath its flight path heard explosions in the sky. Public backlash was swift. Countries banned supersonic flight over land. Concorde was pushed over oceans, limiting its routes, its profitability, and its future. When the Concorde era ended, it wasn't because speed wasn't valuable. It ended because noise was unacceptable. And for decades, that problem seemed unsolvable. Most people imagine a sonic boom as a single loud bang. In reality, it's much worse. When an aircraft exceeds the speed of sound, it creates shock waves at multiple points: at the nose, the wings, the canopy, and the engine. These waves merge into a continuous pressure wake that follows the aircraft for its entire flight. When that wake reaches the ground, it's heard as a boom. Around 105, that's roughly the volume of a nightclub passing overhead repeatedly. For more than 50 years, engineers believed this was unavoidable, a law of physics. Until NASA asked a different question. What if the shockwaves never merged in the first place? Unlike the Concorde era, modern engineers had a new tool: supercomputers. Instead of guessing shapes and testing them physically, NASA simulated millions of airflow scenarios, down to individual pressure changes along the fuselage. What they discovered changed everything. Shockwaves don't have to combine. If you carefully control where and how they form, you can stretch them out, weaken them, and reshape how they reach the ground. Instead of a boom, you get a soft, low-frequency thump, more like a distant car door closing than thunder in the sky. That insight became the foundation of the X-59. Take one look at the X-59, and even experienced pilots admit their first reaction was confusion. The most striking feature is the nose, longer than many buses. This isn't aesthetic. It's physics. At supersonic speeds, air behaves less like air and more like water. Think of a speedboat plowing through waves versus a kayak slicing smoothly across the surface. The X-59's elongated nose spreads pressure changes gradually along the aircraft, preventing shockwaves from stacking into a boom. Then there's the engine placement. Unlike fighters or commercial airliners, the X-59's engine sits on top of the fuselage. Why? Because shockwaves don't just come from speed. They come from engines. Mounting it on top helps shield the ground from additional noise. Every curve, every angle, and every surface was designed to manipulate invisible pressure waves traveling faster than sound. One small mistake, and the boom comes back. Now here's where things feel truly futuristic. The cockpit isn't at the front. There are no forward-facing windows. So how does the pilot see? Through an external vision system, a combination of ultra-high-definition cameras feeding a real-time display. It's like flying a jet using augmented reality. If that system fails, pilots still have backups: side windows, avionics, and extensive training. Test pilots have already proven they can land safely without the display. This isn't automation replacing humans. It's humans flying with entirely new senses. The X-59 isn't designed to beat speed records. Its planned top speed is around Mach 1.4, slower than Concorde and slower than many fighter jets. Next, but here's why it might still become the most important fast aircraft ever built. Unlike fighters, which sprint briefly at supersonic speeds, and unlike Concorde, which was restricted to oceans, the X-59 is designed to fly supersonic over land for extended periods. If future aircraft scale this technology, we could see commercial jets cruising faster than sound across continents. New York to Los Angeles in under 3 hours. Entire global flight networks redesigned around speed. Not because engines got stronger, but because noise got quieter. Before that future becomes real, NASA has to answer one critical question. What does quiet enough actually mean? Because this time, regulations won't be based purely on decibel numbers. They'll be based on human perception. NASA plans to fly the X-59 over communities without telling residents when it's overhead, then collect real reactions. Did people notice it? Did it disturb them? Did it matter? For the first time in aviation history, public opinion won't follow regulation. It will define it. The X-59 may never carry passengers. It may never enter mass production. But that's not its job. Its mission is bigger. If it succeeds, it will rewrite the rules that grounded supersonic travel for half a century. It will prove that speed and society don't have to be enemies, and it may mark the moment humanity finally learned how to outrun sound without angering the world below. So what do you think? Could supersonic passenger travel make a comeback? Would you fly faster than sound if it meant getting home in half the time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Aviation Reviews, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Because the future of flight is closer than you think. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.